The Estrella never meant to find Earth. Their research vessel, damaged by a solar storm, limped through space seeking sanctuary. Their crystalline ship, powered by their own bioluminescent energy, pulsed weakly as it approached the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. What they found there would change the course of galactic history. Dr. Sarah Chen stood transfixed in Houston's first contact center as the alien vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, trailing ribbons of soft blue light. The ship's hull seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting with a rhythm that matched the gentle waves of light emanating from within. As the vessel touched down, she noticed something extraordinary. The damaged sections were slowly healing themselves. The first meeting between humans and Estrella was marked not by fear or suspicion, but by mutual fascination. The Estrella, led by their chief researcher Lyra, were a species that had evolved in the deep oceans of their homeworld before reaching for the stars. Their bodies glowed with patterns of light that shifted with their emotions, and their technology was built on principles of organic healing and growth rather than mechanical construction. "Your bodies," Lyra observed, her form shimmering with curious patterns of green and gold. "They repair themselves, just as ours do. But so slowly." The Estrella's natural ability to accelerate cellular regeneration had shaped their entire civilization. Their ships weren't built, they were grown. Their computers weren't programmed, they were taught. And their medical technology could heal injuries that humans considered fatal. The exchange of knowledge began immediately. While the Estrella shared their understanding of biological engineering, humans introduced them to concepts they had never considered: artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and most importantly, the idea of protective alliances. The Estrella had always been explorers and healers, their defensive capabilities limited to their ship's self-repair systems. "You maintain military forces," Lyra noted during one of their cultural exchange sessions, "yet you choose to help us without asking for our technology in return. Why?" Sarah smiled, remembering her own grandmother's words about helping strangers. "Because it's the right thing to do, and because friends look out for each other." The alliance formalized quickly. Earth opened its universities to Estrian researchers, while Estrian healing centers began appearing in major human cities. The first successful fusion of human and Estrian technology came 6 months later, a medical nanite swarm that could channel the Estrians' regenerative energy. Terminal patients began walking out of hospitals. Battlefield medicine was revolutionized. But not everyone in the galaxy viewed this partnership with benevolent eyes. In the darkness between stars, the Nexus Dominion surveillance probes recorded everything. Their analysts noted the rapid advancement of human medical technology. Their strategists calculated the military applications of instantaneous wound healing. Their commanders began drawing up invasion plans. They saw the Estrella as they had always been: peaceful, vulnerable, ripe for conquest. But they made one crucial mistake. They saw humanity as primitives who had merely gotten lucky in finding advanced allies. They didn't understand that humans had shared something far more valuable with the Estrella than mere technology. They had shared their determination to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. As the first year of the Human-Estrellan alliance drew to a close, Sarah stood with Lyra in the observation dome of the newly completed orbital medical center. Below them, Earth glowed blue and green, while above, the stars beckoned. Lyra's body pulsed with deep purple, a sign of contentment among her people. "We have detected ships," Lyra said quietly, her lights dimming slightly. "Large ships at the edge of your solar system. They carry weapons we recognize. The Nexus Dominion has found us." Sarah placed a hand on the cool, crystalline surface that made up Lyra's external layer. "Then they're about to learn something important about humanity." "What is that?" Lyra's patterns shifted to curious swirls of blue. "That we only give one warning, and we make sure it's worth hearing." The Nexus Dominion's flagship, Eternal Night, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, its obsidian hull absorbing what little sunlight reached this far from Earth. Fleet Commander Vextar stood on his command deck, his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Sol system. His exoskeleton clicked softly as he shifted his weight, a habit his subordinates had learned to recognize as anticipation. Curious, he mused, mandibles working as he studied the data streams. These humans have had access to Astrian biotechnology for merely 1 Earth year, yet they've already adapted it for mass production. His science officer, Carl, brought up a series of medical reports stolen from Earth's networks. Their implementation is concerning, Commander. They're not just using the technology, they're improving it. This scan shows human soldiers with enhanced healing capabilities that exceed even natural Astrian regeneration. Vextar's outer eyes narrowed. The Dominion had encountered the Astrea centuries ago, dismissing them as useful but weak. Their biological technology was impressive, but limited by their peaceful nature. Now these humans, barely a century into spaceflight, were turning healing technology into a military advantage. "Show me their defenses," he ordered. The hologram shifted, displaying Earth's orbital infrastructure. Space stations dotted the orbits, many bearing the distinctive crystalline architecture of Astrian design merged with human industrial efficiency. But something was off. The power readings didn't match the visible structures. Their energy signatures are inconsistent, Carl noted. Either their shielding technology is far more advanced than we thought, or they're hiding something, Vextar finished. Clever primitives. On Earth, the response to the Dominion's arrival was methodical and measured. In an underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral James Chen, Sarah's father, studied the same sector of space with grim determination. "They're being cautious," he observed to his assembled staff, keeping their main fleet just beyond Pluto's orbit while sending in stealth scout ships. "They still think they're dealing with novices." Sarah, now Earth's chief liaison to the Astrea, stood beside Lyra at the briefing table. The Astrian researchers' bioluminescence had shifted to deep red, a warning color that matched the gravity of the situation. "The Dominion believes they understand our technology because they encountered our kind before." Lyra's lights pulsed as she spoke, but they never truly understood. They saw our healing as weakness, our growth as limitation. They never grasped that the same principles that allow us to heal can be used to harm, Sarah finished. The words tasted bitter. "Show them, Lyra. Show them what we've been working on." Lyra's form brightened, projecting a hologram of her own. It showed a new kind of vessel, one that merged Astrian biotechnology with human military engineering. The ships looked alive, their hulls rippling with the same kind of bioluminescence as the Astrea themselves. "We call them Guardians," Sarah explained to the assembled officers. "The hulls can absorb energy weapons, using the attack's own power to strengthen their shields. The neural networks linking the crews are based on Astrian communal consciousness technology, allowing for reaction times that would be impossible for either of our species alone." Admiral Chen nodded slowly. "And the offensive capabilities." Lyra's lights shifted to a pattern none of the humans had seen before. "The same principles we use to accelerate healing can be reversed. These ships can project fields that decay rather than restore. But we have never." "You don't have to," Sarah assured her friend. "That's why we're here. You taught us how to heal. We'll handle the rest." In the void of space, Vextar received the first diplomatic transmission from Earth. His mandibles clicked in amusement as he read it. "This is your only warning," he quoted to his bridge crew. "The Sol system and its allies are under human protection. Withdraw immediately." Such arrogance from such a young species. Carol's exoskeleton rattled, the Dominion equivalent of nervous fidgeting. "Commander, our deep scans are detecting unusual energy patterns throughout the system. The humans appear to have made a grave mistake." Vextar interrupted. "The Dominion does not withdraw. The Dominion does not negotiate. The Dominion conquers." He turned to his communications officer. "Send the response. 3 words only: prepare for conquest. As the message was transmitted, Sarah and Lyra stood in the command center of humanity's first Guardian-class vessel, watching the Dominion's reply appear on their screens. Sarah's hand found Lyra's crystalline form, feeling the subtle vibrations that indicated her friend's anxiety. "Don't worry," Sarah said softly. "They've made 2 fundamental mistakes. They underestimated humanity's ability to adapt your technology, and they completely misunderstood why we call these ships Guardians." Around them, hidden in gravitational anomalies and powered down to near-death states, the Guardian fleet waited. They had given their warning. What came next would reshape galactic politics forever. The Dominion fleet entered the inner solar system with the confident precision of predators who had never known defeat. Their formation was textbook perfect, a spear of warships aimed at Earth's heart. Vextar watched with satisfaction as his fleet passed Mars' orbit. Still no response from the humans. No defensive fleet rising to meet them. Just the same scattered orbital stations, their crystalline surfaces gleaming in the sunlight. "Final status report," he commanded. 217 capital ships in attack formation. Carl responded. "Weapon systems at full power. No significant defensive forces detected in system. The humans appear to be." The science officer never finished his sentence. Throughout the Dominion fleet, alarms screamed to life as energy signatures bloomed like newborn stars. The orbital stations they had dismissed as mere medical facilities began to pulse with brilliant light. Within their crystalline structures, dormant ships stirred to life. "Impossible," Vextar breathed. They hid an entire fleet inside those stations. The Guardian vessels emerged from their chrysalis state, their biomechanical hulls shimmering with patterns of light that mimicked their Astrian allies. But where the Astraea's lights spoke of healing and growth, these patterns carried a different message, one of protection turned to purpose, of healing knowledge turned to martial intent. Multiple vessels detected. Carl's exoskeleton rattled with alarm. "Their energy signatures are. Commander, they're using Astrian biotechnology in ways we've never seen." Inside the lead Guardian ship, Sarah and Lyra stood united on the bridge. The neural link system they had developed together allowed human tactical thinking to merge with Astrian empathic awareness. Every crew member, human and Astrian alike, could feel their ships as extensions of themselves. "All Guardian vessels, execute Operation Firewall," Sarah commanded. Her words carried through both conventional communications and the subtle light patterns that the Astraea used to communicate. "Remember your training. Remember why we're here." The Guardian fleet moved with impossible grace, their formations flowing like liquid metal. The Dominion's first volley of plasma torpedoes met fields of defensive energy that didn't just block them. They absorbed them, grew stronger from them. "Impossible." Vextar raged as his sensors reported the results. "Their shields are adapting to our weapons." "Commander," Carl's voice shook. "The human ships, they're not just defending. They're—" The Guardian fleet's response came not as traditional weapons fire, but as waves of targeted entropy. The same principles that allowed Astrian technology to accelerate healing were inverted, creating fields that accelerated decay. Where these fields touched Dominion ships, metal aged decades in seconds. Shields failed not from overload, but from their own power systems breaking down at the molecular level. "All ships, evasive action." Vextar ordered, but it was too late. The Guardian vessels moved with perfect coordination, their crews linked in ways the Dominion had never imagined possible. Every evasive maneuver was anticipated. Every counterattack met with a defense that turned the attack's own energy against it. Sarah watched through both human eyes and Astrian sensors as the battle unfolded. The Dominion fleet's formation began to break apart, their carefully planned attack dissolving into chaos as ships tried to retreat from weapons they had never conceived possible. "Your ships," Vextar's voice crackled across all frequencies, a mix of rage and disbelief. "They're impossible. The Astraea are healers, not warriors." "Correct," Sarah responded, letting her words carry to every ship in the system. The Astraea are healers. They taught us how to mend what was broken, how to restore what was damaged. We learned those lessons well. She paused, letting the Guardian fleet's lights pulse in unison, a display of unity that made even veteran Dominion crews flinch. But we also learned something else. Sometimes, to protect those who heal, you must be willing to harm those who would destroy them. The battle that followed would be studied in war colleges across the galaxy for centuries. The Dominion fleet, for the first time in their history, found themselves completely outmatched. Their weapons were turned against them, their defenses aged to uselessness, their proud ships reduced to drifting hulks by forces they couldn't even fully understand. As the last Dominion vessel surrendered, Lyra's lights shifted to a pattern that spoke of both sadness and resolution. "We never wanted our knowledge to be used this way," she said softly. Sarah placed a hand on her friend's crystalline surface. "And we never wanted to use it this way. But because we could, because we were prepared to, fewer will die." Sometimes the strongest shield is the one that never needs to be tested. In his crippled flagship, Vextar watched the Guardian fleet take up defensive positions around Earth. His outer eyes closed in resignation as he finally understood. The humans hadn't just learned from the Astraea. They had transformed that knowledge into something entirely new. They had taken the power to heal and forged from it the power to protect, not through aggression, but through the simple, implacable determination to defend those they called friends. News of the Dominion's defeat spread across the galaxy at the speed of light, carried by quantum entanglement communicators and passing merchant vessels. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, representatives of 100 species gathered to discuss the implications of what many were already calling the one morning battle. The council chamber, with its soaring crystal spires and floating observation platforms, hummed with nervous energy. At the center of attention stood an unlikely pair, Sarah Chen, Earth's diplomatic representative, and Lyra, whose bioluminescent form pulsed with calm, steady light. The humans did what? The Vexari delegate, a being of pure energy contained within an environmental suit, leaned forward in disbelief. They turned healing technology into a weapon. "No," Sarah corrected, her voice carrying across the chamber. "We turned it into a shield. There's a difference." Recordings of the battle played on floating screens throughout the chamber. The council members watched in stunned silence as the Guardian fleet emerged from their chrysalis state, their impossible maneuvers and devastating defensive capabilities on full display. "Observe." Lyra's lights pulsed as she spoke. "Not a single Dominion crew member died in the battle. Their ships were disabled, their weapons neutralized, but no lives were taken. This was not conquest, it was protection." The Dominion's representative, a junior diplomat named Carol, the same science officer who had witnessed the battle firsthand, clicked his mandibles in reluctant agreement. "Our ships were not destroyed, but transformed, aged beyond usefulness. Even now, human and Astraean medical teams are treating our injured." This revelation sent new whispers through the council chamber. A species capable of utterly destroying an enemy, choosing instead to disable and then heal them. It defied conventional military doctrine. The council's chief administrator, an ancient being from one of the galaxy's eldest species, raised all four hands for silence. "What we have witnessed is unprecedented. Humanity, in barely a year of alliance with the Astraea, has not only mastered their biotechnology, but evolved it into something entirely new. The question before this council is, what does this mean for galactic stability?" Sarah stepped forward, her expression serious but compassionate. "What it means is simple. Humanity has demonstrated both its capability and its restraint. We could have destroyed the Dominion fleet. Instead, we disabled it. We could have demanded reparations. Instead, we're helping them rebuild. But let me be absolutely clear about one thing." She paused, making eye contact with each council member in turn. "Our warning system remains unchanged. One warning, given once, We will protect our friends, our allies, and those who cannot protect themselves. Not through conquest, not through aggression, but through the simple determination to stand between them and harm. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species saw opportunity, the chance to align themselves with this emerging power. Others saw threat, the possibility that human protection could become human dominance. But all of them saw change. In the weeks that followed, the ripples of the One Warning battle transformed galactic politics. The Dominion, humbled but not destroyed, began a slow transformation of its own. Under Carl's unexpected elevation to diplomatic leadership, they started exploring the possibility that cooperation might yield better results than conquest. More significantly, dozens of emerging species, previously hesitant to venture into galactic politics for fear of exploitation, began reaching out to Earth. They saw in humanity something unique, a species that had the power to conquer but chose to protect, that had mastered the technology of healing and turned it not to destruction, but to defense. Sarah found Lyra in the Earth Embassy's garden 3 months after the battle. The Astrian's lights rippled with patterns that spoke of both pride and concern. "We have received 17 new requests for medical technology sharing," Lyra communicated, "and 32 proposals for defensive alliances." Sarah smiled, watching the sunset paint the garden's crystalline structures in shades of gold and purple. "Are you worried we'll misuse your knowledge again?" Lyra's form shifted, her lights forming the pattern that humans had learned meant laughter. "No, my friend. I finally understand what your people showed us. The greatest power of healing isn't in the act itself, but in the choice of how to use that knowledge. You could have used our technology to become conquerors, but that wouldn't have been very friendly, would it?" Sarah's smile widened. "Besides, do you know how much paperwork is involved in running an empire? Protecting friends is much simpler." Above them, the first stars of evening began to appear. Somewhere out there, Guardian ships patrolled peaceful trade routes. Astrian medical ships, now equipped with defensive capabilities they had never dreamed of needing, continued their mission of healing. And across the galaxy, species that had once lived in fear began to look to the stars with hope. The humans had given their warning, demonstrated their resolve, and then extended their hand in friendship. They had proved that the strongest shield was one forged not from fear, but from the determination to protect those who needed protection. 5 years after the One Warning battle, Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the command console of the Guardian flagship Hope's Aegis, watching the vast expanse of space through its crystalline viewport. The scene before her was both beautiful and powerful. A joint patrol fleet of human, Astrian, and most surprisingly, reformed Dominion vessels moving in perfect harmony against the backdrop of a binary star system. The command deck hummed with the subtle resonance of merged technologies. Holographic displays merged seamlessly with bioluminescent indicators, while the neural link system allowed the multi-species crew to coordinate with unprecedented efficiency. Through the viewport, she could see the distinctive silhouettes of Guardian vessels, their hulls now evolved into even more elegant forms that perfectly balanced protection with presence. "Remarkable," came a familiar crystalline voice. Lyra's form shimmered beside her, the Astrian's lights reflecting off the advanced control panels. 5 years ago, we would never have imagined this." Sarah smiled, watching as a group of newly commissioned ships practiced defensive formations. Their crews, a mix of humans, Astrea, and other species who had joined the Protection Alliance, moved with the confidence of those who knew they were part of something greater than themselves. "Defense report incoming, Admiral," her communications officer announced. The holographic display shifted, showing the status of the 100-plus systems now under joint protection. Green indicators highlighted peaceful trade routes, medical stations, and research outposts. The few yellow warnings indicated only minor disputes, most already in the process of peaceful resolution. The Vexry delegation's request for Guardian technology sharing has been approved, Lyra noted, her patterns shifting to show pleased acknowledgement. "Their energy-based physiology offers interesting possibilities for advancing our defensive systems," Sarah nodded, remembering the long debates in the Alliance Council. The decision to share Guardian technology wasn't taken lightly, but the Vexri had proved their commitment to the Alliance's principles. How are they adapting to the neural link systems? Surprisingly well. Their energy-based consciousness actually simplifies the integration process, though they keep asking why we insist on giving warnings before engaging hostile forces. A small laugh escaped Sarah. Some concepts take time to understand. Speaking of which, she gestured to another section of the display, where a diplomatic transmission was incoming. The message came from Carl, now the Dominion's High Ambassador to the Alliance. The former science officer had emerged as a leading voice in the Dominion's reformation, helping transform their society from one of conquest to one of cooperative strength. The latest joint research project is showing promising results, Carl's message reported. The combination of Dominion power systems with Astrian healing technology and human innovation has created defensive capabilities we never thought possible. More importantly, the exchange programs are helping our younger generations understand the strength that comes from protection rather than dominance. As Sarah read the report, a flash of movement caught her eye. Through the viewport, a new class of vessel moved into view, the first of the Unity-class ships. Its design represented the perfect synthesis of all three civilizations: the organic flowing lines of Astrian architecture, the efficient power systems of Dominion engineering, and the innovative tactical systems of human design. But unlike the warships of old, these vessels were built primarily for rescue and response, capable of reaching troubled systems at unprecedented speed to offer aid and protection. "There's a human saying," Sarah mused, watching the ship's graceful movement. "The best victory is the one where no shot is fired." Lyra's lights pulsed in agreement, and the strongest shield is the one that protects not through fear, but through respect. Around them, the command deck continued its efficient operation. Officers from a dozen species worked together, their differences forgotten in their shared purpose. The neural link hummed with the collective determination of those who had chosen to stand together, to protect rather than conquer. In the 5 years since humanity had demonstrated both its power and its restraint, the galaxy had changed. The Guardian fleet had never needed to issue another warning. Their reputation for both protection and mercy preceded them. The Astrian healing centers had expanded across known space, now protected by the very technology they had inspired. And humanity had found its place in the cosmic community not as conquerors, not as victims, but as guardians. "New contact detected," announced the sensor officer, their neural link providing immediate tactical analysis. "Unknown configuration, approaching from Sector 7. Sarah straightened, but didn't tense. The diplomatic channels were already open, ready to issue the standard greeting. And, if necessary, the single warning that had become famous across the galaxy. But these days, most new contacts came seeking alliance rather than conflict, ready to broadcast first contact protocols, the communications officer reported. Sarah nodded, exchanging a glance with Lyra. In that look was 5 years of shared history, of lessons learned and taught, of strength found not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to protect. "Send the greeting," she ordered. "Let's show them how friendship works in this part of the galaxy." Above them, the stars stretched endlessly onward, each one holding possibilities for new allies, new friends, and new opportunities to demonstrate that the strongest force in the universe wasn't weaponry or technology or even knowledge. It was the simple, unshakable determination to stand by those you call friends.